Important news about a friend and colleague, CNN chief national correspondent and anchor of Inside Politics, John King.
I'm going to share a secret I've never spoken before. I'm immunocompromised. I have multiple sclerosis. All right? So I'm grateful you're all vaccinated. I'm grateful my employer says all these amazing people who work on the floor who came in here for the last 18 months when we were doing this are vaccinated now that we have vaccines. I worry about bringing it home to my 10-year-old son who can't get a vaccine. I don't like the government telling me what to do. I don't like my boss telling me what to do. In this case, it's important.
Joining us now, CNN chief national correspondent and anchor of Inside Politics, John King. John, you know, 1 million Americans are living with MS, and me and I, just like most of the world yesterday, found out for the first time that you are among them. So why'd you share?
I wasn't planning on it, John. We were having a conversation about vaccine misinformation in the context of the death of Secretary of State Powell. And Dr. Wen, one of our great medical experts, was talking about how we shouldn't be lying about vaccines because the data is overwhelming. This is not a debate anymore. The data is overwhelming. The vaccines work. We should not be lying and being reckless and dangerous. And she talked about a sense of community. And because of my personal experience, the issue has been front and center in my mind throughout the COVID crisis. And it just came out yesterday in the sense that I do not understand people who get up in the morning, who are vaccinated themselves, and who willingly lie to get attention, to get clickbait, to get whatever. I do not understand it. We can have a debate about vaccine mandates. We should have big debates in America about the big issues in our country, but we should do them based on facts. The vaccines work, and it's not just 1 million people with MS like me, John. There are millions more like General Powell. So we just don't know. One of the things I have learned in the last 13 years dealing with this is so much of it is hidden. People don't see it. Don't see it when you're having a bad day. So you don't know. Is the person next to you immunocompromised? The person in the grocery store, somebody you know and love, or a perfect stranger? So what is the harm of getting a vaccine that we now know is safe? This is not January or February. The questions then were legitimate. Tens of millions of people, tens and tens and tens of millions of people here and around the world have received these vaccines. They work. They are remarkably effective at driving down COVID. What is the harm of putting on this when you go to the grocery store, or when you might be in close proximity to your Uber driver, to your doctor, to anybody in your life who you might not know needs your help? What is the harm?
I can hear it in your voice, John. I can hear it. And you know, I've known you since you were the AP reporter and you know, strictly the news. And this is different. I can tell this is getting to you. And it was specifically, I think, the coverage of the death of Colin Powell over at Fox that ticked you off.
Yes, it's a cumulative thing, but just to hear, look, Colin Powell is an American treasure. We lost a hero, right? And for people to say this is proof vaccines don't work because Colin Powell was vaccinated and he died as proof vaccines don't work, when just the opposite is true. Just the opposite is true. Yes, Colin Powell was vaccinated, but he had a condition that compromised his immune system, as I do, because of the medications I take, the medications that have helped me remarkably. I'm grateful to my doctors. I'm grateful to the researchers who are working on MS, who are working on Parkinson's, who are working on anything, to make people better, to help people through crisis. To lie about the effectiveness of vaccines is just numbing. Look, I've been doing this for a long time. We've known each other a long time. I don't like injecting myself into this. It's not my way. It's not my training. It's not my place. It's not my place. But what Dr. Wen took something that was here and just brought it here because of this sense of community. I get politics. I get the polarization. But we are getting to the point, John, where by Thanksgiving dinner, the population of Denver will have been wiped out by COVID. Is that not big enough to startle us to say, let's put our politics aside and let's debate these big questions, but let's debate them on facts? The world is round. Trump lost. Vaccines work. These are the debates, then have debates within the context of that. The climate is in crisis. These things are not in dispute, but some people want to put them in dispute for reasons I do not understand. And what crossed the line for me was lying about an American hero when those 728,000 people who we have already lost, they're all heroes to somebody too. They're all heroes to somebody too. And to lie about vaccines and make it worse today and tomorrow based on all we now know is just reckless. And it pushed me across the line.
With your permission.
For better or worse.
With your permission, I got a lot of questions, John, as a friend and a colleague.
Fire away.
You just said 13 years.
Yeah.
Diagnosed 13 years ago.
Yeah, I've had problems going back to when I was covering the Clinton White House. I have not been really able to feel my legs since the late 1990s, and it took a while to figure out what it was. And after I had some issues covering the 2008 Republican convention for CNN, when I had problems, problems moved from my legs up into my upper body and my hands. And that's when I got the diagnosis, the MRIs and the scans. And they diagnosed me with MS. And back in those days, it was frightening. It was very frightening. And I decided to keep it a secret. And then I kind of got caught in that. And, very few people, a dozen people know, my siblings, my family, those closest to me and my family have known about it. And then more recently, I told some people that I work with. Mistake to keep it a secret, because if I can do anything to help, I should have done that. I was scared early on. It's a challenge. It sucks. Every day it is with me in some nagging way. In other ways, some days it's with me in more profound, challenging ways. You fall down. You can't pick things up. But I'm so lucky, John, and that's the point. That's one of the reasons I've been reluctant to talk about it, is that there are people who get this disease and other diseases who are not so lucky. Mine has progressed very, very slowly, thanks to medications, thanks to great doctors, thanks to a great healthcare plan here at CNN that has not made this break my bank account, if you will. And so there are a lot of people out there for who this struggle is much more dramatic than mine. And so I don't want to draw attention to myself, except to say that there are, I hope it's made me a better person. It has certainly made me a stronger person. But what it has made me aware of is that whether it's somebody you love or a perfect stranger, there might be somebody out there that you should help. Forget about politics. What did our mothers tell us? What did our priests and our rabbis and our ministers tell us? Love thy neighbor. If you can do a simple thing like this, or like getting a shot that we all know now is safe, that helps somebody else and helps yourself, why not? And if you don't want to do that, fine, that's your right. Don't lie about it.
If you care about the magic wall, get the vaccine. If you want to make sure that John can be there. John, how does
I'm fine. I appreciate the humor there, but I'm fine. I am fine, and I'm lucky, and I'm blessed, and so I want to make that clear. Some days are harder than other days, but that's okay. That actually does make you stronger.
How does it manifest itself day to day for you?
Sometimes you drag your toe or you trip. I fall down the stairs a few times a year. Sometimes, today I'm having a bad day with my hands, for example. So we do this, it's second nature. You reach over, you pick up your cup. I have to look. I have to make sure that I have a grip on that cup, because I might drop it. I've done that on occasions. Some days your vision gets a little blurry. Some days you have what I call, MS brain. Everything just seems a little foggy.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it's hard for me to believe that your brain is ever foggy, for those of us who were glued to every word you say for hours on end. But really, it does affect sometimes.
It's different. It's different for everybody, which is why it's such a frustrating disease, as many diseases are for people, and many conditions are for people. It's different for everybody. For me, heat and stress tend to be my triggers, which is why I'm grateful the Washington summer has passed. I hope nobody noticed it, but election week in America was probably one of my worst weeks last year. I was having a lot of trouble functioning. But you learn, one of the gifts of the challenge, that might sound weird, but one of the gifts of the challenge is that you learn how to focus, and you learn to rewire how you do things, and you learn to become much more aware of what you're going through. And I hope that gives me a lot more empathy for other people out there who, again, you do not know that the person you're standing behind at the grocery store or at the coffee shop might be going through this too. And they're looking around a little nervous in the current environment, in this pandemic environment, which has brought it front and center. They're looking around a little bit nervous. Well, this helps them. It helps save them. That is somebody's mother or brother or teacher. That person is a treasure to somebody, like Colin Powell was to America. What is the harm? I don't get it.
I have a couple more, and I know this is not something you enjoy doing. So again, forgive me for this, but election nights, you just talked about that. Election week was bad for you, the magic wall. Is this something you deal with when you're talking for hours and hours and hours on end?
I notice it when it happens. Dana texted me on one of those nights. Dana Bash, we have a beautiful son together, who is one of the reasons I get so motivated about people lying about vaccines, because it's my job to protect him. And she noticed and texted me once during election week, "Are you all right?" Because she knows. I was okay. It's just there are just times when you're up for a long stretch. Where if sometimes the combination of stress and hard surfaces, standing on hard surfaces for a long time, can somehow exacerbate my symptoms. Sometimes you get fatigue. Sometimes it's okay. I was actually I was proud of myself. I don't like to talk about myself. I'm sorry, but at the end of that week, I was proud of myself, because I knew how hard some of those days were. But it was important for me to do it. And one of the challenges of getting through this, and again, there are millions of people out there dealing with MS and other issues who do this every day. And so I'm not special. It's just what you do. It's what you do. You have something that challenges you, and you have to find a way around it. And you need the love and support of your friends, and you need good doctors. And when these conversations come up about medical things, as you just went through with Drew Griffin and that remarkable piece, we need the truth. Let's debate things, but let's do it based on the truth. And let's do it, especially when you know the people at the network you mentioned who are doing this, they're all vaccinated, John. They know. They know these vaccines are safe. They are effective. Debate mandates all you want. Debate them on facts and truth, not lies.